Okay, thanks very much, Alistair. I'm going to talk mainly about the Step Up programme, which is a programme which is, as it says there, it's about strategic planning of sustainable energy systems in cities. And I should explain, I'm Richard Bellingham from the Institute for Future Cities at University of Strathclyde. We have a very simple objective, improving the quality of human life in cities across the world. Sustainability is one aspect of what we do in future cities. And when we say sustainable, we mean outcomes that balance up not just low carbon, but also deliver on the social and economic needs of a city. So in a place like Glasgow, we have to respect it has issues with fuel poverty, it needs jobs, we need solutions which will deliver on all those areas. So Step Up built on an earlier project. We'd worked with Glasgow at an earlier stage to produce, about 5 years ago, I think now, Alistair, to produce the Sustainable Glasgow Plan. Was that 5 years ago? Just about. Yeah. And in Sustainable Glasgow, my background, I should explain, is in Scottish government, in government. And one of the things I'd got a bit frustrated with is politicians and others setting targets without a good evidence base. So the target would just appear, we're going to reduce our carbon emissions or achieve X by this date, but there would be no good strategy for delivering it. So we decided in Sustainable Glasgow we would take a different approach. We'd analyse, we'd base it on the evidence, we would be technology neutral. We wouldn't choose the technology before we'd actually understood the city and its issues. So, and it's not just about the technology, we also needed supportive public policy, we needed it to be affordable, so it's not just about having the best technology. If we can't actually finance it, that's not much of a recommendation. It also has to be financeable. And we took it forward in a way that's a partnership. So Step Up it comes out of a European Commission initiative called the European Covenant of Mayors, where they invited multiple cities across Europe to sign up to a pledge that they would deliver a greater than 20% reduction in their carbon emissions before 2020. And rather to the surprise of the Commission, within a year, something like 4,500 cities across Europe had signed up to this pledge. And then they started producing plans. They were supposed to produce a plan about how they were going to produce this really good carbon emission reduction. And when the Commission examined the plans, they told me around about 1% were good quality, actually had some analysis in them, could actually be depended on to deliver. So Step Up is designed to actually help cities overcome this problem. How do you actually deliver a better than 20% reduction in your carbon emissions by 2020 and indeed go beyond that date? The partner cities, Glasgow, Riga, Gothenburg and Ghent, they weren't chosen simply because they're alliterative. They were chosen because for a whole set of other reasons. They were chosen because they actually have similar climates, they have similar social and economic issues, they're port cities, and so by that social and economic similarity, we make it easier for the cities to learn from each other. The Commission were also a bit tired of wealthy Northern European city, commercial city, partnering with a goat herding village somewhere in the south of Europe, and basically the Northern Europeans went on holiday and the Southern Europeans went shopping. So they wanted something where the cities actually had something in common and would learn from each other. In each city we also have a commercial partner and a research partner. So yeah, basically we're producing these sustainable energy action plans in the 4 cities, and we're doing it better than it was done before. And it's not just about producing a strategy, it's about producing a pipeline of high quality, low carbon projects in all of those cities. We also deliver training to a wider learning network of cities and indeed other partners. and we have companion cities which are kind of closer, where we actually coach them through step by step by step. This is how you do a sustainable energy action plan. One key aspect that Step Up is trying to deliver and demonstrate is that integrated planning of a low carbon future for your city makes better sense. It's better economics, both for in terms of wider economic growth, but it also produces projects where actually deliverable and affordable. Step Up, the technique we use, also incorporates, you need to incorporate that very wide range of stakeholders, and you need to deliver on the other policy objectives like improving security of energy supplies, urban regeneration, creating jobs, tackling fuel poverty, and ultimately making cities better places to live and work and invest. So multiple cities involved in our training network in the Baltic states, in Belgium, in Sweden and Norway and wider. So this is, and I'm also very pleased to say the Scottish Cities Alliance supported us working with other cities across Scotland, so we're doing coaching sessions with those too. The process is shown summarised up here. So it's basically an evidence-based process. You map and analyse where your city is using its energy, you look at the energy flows, you understand where the resources are, you identify the objectives for the kinds of projects you can actually implement, and then you review that, prioritise, and start implementing and engage with stakeholders. Now, it's slightly odd that you end up setting visions and targets immediately after doing your baseline. And originally I thought, no, we're going to set targets right at the end of this process. But we found to get political engagement, we actually needed to set targets very early as an aspiration. And then what we did when we got to the end of the process is actually go revisit those targets and then say, oh, are these right? Do these still make sense? And then revise the targets. So it was a little bit of an iterative process to make sure that we had the politicians involved. And what we found is also that this process varied very significantly from city to city because of the availability of data, political timescales. It could be just that the politicians needed to have their sustainability plan signed off before this key date because they had an election coming. And that dictated how fast we did this. Also, when you go into a city, you're not going into, a green field. Politically speaking, strategically speaking, cities have all sorts of existing policies and strategies going on. So you need to map those and understand how your new strategy is going to integrate with those and how you're going to take advantage of them. Yeah, that's just showing how we map energy across multiple sectors. I realise I'm between you and lunch, so I'm trying to speed this up. And yeah, one of the key issues that we found, certainly in Glasgow, is the age of the data. Often when we looked at energy data, it was 2 years old at least before we were analysing it. So we had to bring in a number of models that estimated what current energy use was as opposed to the real data that we could get for 2 years ago. We used Sankey diagrams to show the flows of energy across each of our cities, and these are downloadable. So you can see how the energy flows, what's it used for, the types of energy, how it's converted. And there were very significant differences between these cities. Glasgow, for example, 70% of the energy is used in buildings. But if we go to Riga or Ghent, we find the commercial sector much, much larger, but a useful way of summarising and analysing that flow of energy. We also looked at issues like fuel poverty. So we mapped the fuel poverty across the city. We mapped the energy demands. And so by using geographic information systems, we can work out, okay, where would we put that project to actually best achieve both the carbon goals and indeed the wider political and economic goals of the city. Yeah, multiple. Yeah, this is Glasgow's carbon emissions, and you can see it's doing well. However, we should say that this has taken place in the context of an economic recession. So the question is, as economies recover, will Glasgow's carbon emissions stay on target? We're also linking up with, Alistair mentioned the Future City Demonstrator. It's publishing data on Glasgow's CO2 emissions. There's rapid mapping of those CO2 emissions. And we're looking at other cities and the existing 3D models in Glasgow to how do we map and understand the city in entirely new ways by using those models. We've also created a city observatory as part of the Future City Demonstrator. It takes in the data and the problems and the opportunities about cities, not just Glasgow, in order to produce viable solutions. So we've taken those learnings together to create a new master's programme. So we've taken real live learnings from how we implement sustainable energy action plans, not just in Glasgow and not just in the Step Up project, but projects right across the world. And we've turned them into a new 12-month master's programme. So I'm just getting my plug in early there. So anyway, so new 12-month master's programme. If you want to talk about that, come and see me. And some of the key issues, I would say, some of the key learnings, yeah, understand your cities, bring in the partners, political support is vital. You need positive social outcomes if you're going to get the political support. Why do you need the political support? Because these projects take a long time. So we wrote the Sustainable Glasgow report about 5 years ago. We're only just, well, last year the district heating was implemented for Commonwealth Games. Next year we'll implement it for Strathclyde. So you need political support that will go on for year after year after year if you really want it to happen. Also, if you're in a city, grasp your windows of opportunity. So something like the Commonwealth Games, major infrastructure investment. If the wrong infrastructure had been put in place, it would have been entrenched for 30 or 40 years. However, the City Council with its partners, they went down the right route. They did put in the low carbon infrastructure. They put in district heating. And now we're looking at how we can create a wider ripple effect, extend that district heating across the city. But yeah, absolutely vital. Grasp those windows of opportunity.